What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel. And before we get into today's video guys, I believe we are now, 32, 31 subs away from 200? I don't know how many subs we're at right now. I think we're at 32, I think somebody decided to unsubscribe because they didn't want to see what we were going to do when we reached 200, which if this channel does get to 200 subs, I will open up this Korean Strike of Neo's booster box in its entirety on the channel, on the hopes to potentially pull this guy, Elemental Hero Air Neos, or some people like to call him the Forbidden Yu-Gi-Oh card. Why? I don't know. I just don't know. If this channel gets to 500 subs, I will open up this Korean LOB booster box that I got from my partners over at Collector's Store, so be sure to check them out. Link and address will be in the description. On the hopes to potentially pull a Blue Eyes White Dragon, Dark Magician, Red Eyes, Pot of Greed. The possibilities are out there. However, if the channel gets to 1,000 subs, I will open up this first edition Toon Chaos box in its entirety that I also got from my partners at Collector's Store, on the hopes to potentially pull my second ever collector's rare, because if you guys missed out on my Genesis Impact booster box opening, you guys see it in the top loader, in the penny sleeve. I pulled my first ever collector's rare, which is a Beat Cup from the Underworld, which I believe is going for like 30, maybe 40 bucks, somewhere around there now. I don't know. Prices usually tend to like go up and down almost all day, every day. So this thing is absolutely beautiful. I am planning to get this graded at some point. I'm probably going to get it graded sometime this year. So if you guys want to see these boxes get opened, maybe you guys want to see my very first ever graded return video. Who knows? Maybe you guys want more deck profiles. Maybe you guys want more episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh's Biggest Issue. Maybe you guys want episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue. Card discussions. Premium live event predictions. Results. Maybe you guys even want to see, as well, WWE topic videos or ban list reveals. Well, if you guys want all of that and more, my channel is the place to be. So if you guys have not done so already, make sure you guys please check out the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, give this video a thumbs up, and be sure to follow me on all of my social media. My ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And speaking of deck profiles, I actually have one for you guys today. It is my updated Toon deck profile. Now, I updated this deck for two reasons. Number one, with Barrier Statue of the Stormwind now banned, there was no need for me to utilize the Gaddarlas that I had in the deck. So I ended up taking those out, and I needed to give this deck a bit of a retrain, I guess if you will. But the second reason is with the upcoming ban, with the ban list coming up pretty soon, which we don't know when. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be any day, and it could literally be any day now. There's no telling what cards could potentially get hit, so I wanted to update the deck just to see what cards would get hit on the next ban list. That way, in a future video, maybe in about like 2 months or so, when I update the deck again, which is bound to happen because I don't do a lot of deck profiles that often anymore. I'll be able to I'll know exactly what cards I should add, and you guys get the idea. So the Toon deck, a lot of people think that you don't really need an extra deck, but the funny thing is that you actually do. You need an extra deck to try and just overpower your opponent. This deck is the last build was more of a control style because of the fact that you had cards such as such as the Totally Awesome, Bahamut Shark, number 89, and you even also had as well ways to go into Zeus, such as the Time Thief Redoers and whatnot. Now it's more of a beatdown control style where not only are you able to control how you can manipulate the board, but you're also able to overpower your opponent and push for game. So I will be posting the deck list on my Instagram about an hour or so after this video gets put up. So make sure you guys follow me on my Instagram. My @ will be in the description. And hopefully you guys are ready for this deck profile. Let's get straight into it. So kicking things off, we got 3 copies of Toon Blackluster Soldier. This is actually probably one of the best board wipes. One of the best like pieces of removal for the entire deck. So the effect reads that it cannot be normal summon or set, and that it has to be special summon from your hand by attributing Toon monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal at least 8 or more. And while you control Toon World, or while you control Toon World and your opponent does not have any Toon monsters on board, this card not only can it attack directly, but it can also once per turn banish a card on the field. So this is a great way to basically force out your opponent's back row and give you access to basically just push for game, depending on what the board state looks like. And if you pair this off with a card like say Toon Page Flip, and you're able to summon out another BLS, then you basically have not only do you have 2 board wipes, but you also have 2 rank 8s, which can help you go into any rank 8 XCs that you may have at your disposal, depending on what your extra deck looks like, which is pretty good. And speaking of rank 8s, I am also running a single copy of Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, which is basically a break in the hand, but in the deck it's pretty powerful. So if you were to summon Blue Eyes Toon Dragon off of the effect of Toon Page Flip, then you basically not only would you have a 3000 basic deck on board, but if you were to summon as well, you know, a Toon BLS, you can overlay them into a rank 8, like say Tachyon Dragon or a Hope Harbinger, both of which I am running in my extra deck anyway, and you basically just have a very powerful monster on board, which is pretty cool. So again, Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, not the best in the hand, but if you have a card like say Toon Dark Magician, which I'm running 3 copies of, you can basically discard Blue Eyes Toon Dragon and then just go from there, which is pretty nice. Next up, again, 3 copies of Toon Dark Magician. This is an absolute nasty card. So the crazy part is that it has 2 different effects that you can only use once per turn, and then all you gotta do is just discard a Toon card, and then trigger its effect. So again, discard Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. Especially, you can either special summon any Toon from your deck, or you can add any Toon spell or trap that you have at your disposal to your hand from the deck. So I'm actually running a pretty good amount of Toon spells and traps, and I've got a few in the side as well, just in case if certain cards don't work so well, I can just side those out for the rest of the Toon cards, and you can basically just combo up from there. What's cool about this is that if you have Toon Dark Magician and you were to discard, let's say Toon Harpy Lady, you summon Red Eyes, you can activate Red Eyes' effect, special summon Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, activate Toon Page Flip, target, let's say Toon Mermaid, Toon Harp, the other Toon Harpy Lady, and the Toon BLS, and Toon BLS gets summoned out. Not only would you have a rank 7, but also a rank 8 as well, which is a pretty nice combo right there. Next up, we got 2 copies of Red Eyes Toon Dragon. You only need 2 in this deck. No, I am not running the Blackstone Legend, and the reason being is because Blackstone Legend is basically a brick, and the thing is, you don't need the Blackstone Legend to go into Red Eyes Toon Dragon. You could just go into Red Eyes Toon off of the effects of a Toon page flip just by targeting any 2 Toons plus Red Eyes, and if your opponent does choose Red Eyes, boom, it gets summoned. Plain and simple. Plain and simple, which is actually pretty cool. Which is actually pretty cool. Not only that, but I actually have not 1, not 2, but 3 rank 7s that I can go into just by using Red Eyes Toon Dragon and Toon Dark Magician, or using 2 Toon Dark Magician or 2 Red Eyes Toon Dragon, and just go from there, which is pretty cool. Next up, I am running a single copy of probably one of the weirdest cards in this deck, but it actually works, and there's a reason for it. It is known as Toon Masked Sorcerer. The reason I'm running this card is because it's a draw card. So the effect reads that it cannot attack the turn it's summoned if Toon Worlds is on the field, or rather, if it was on the field and it was destroyed, Toon Masked Sorcerer gets destroyed. However, while you do have Toon World on board and your opponent has no Toons, if it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you get to draw a card. So in a scenario where you have ways to break your opponent's board and you attack directly with Toon Masked Sorcerer, not only do they get dealt 900 damage, but you also get to draw another card, which you could draw out literally anything. You could draw out Toon Bookmark, Toon Table of Contents, Toon Page Flip, Comic Hand. You know, any of your other Toons. Excuse me. The possibilities are pretty much endless. So that's why. Excuse me. That's why I chose to run Toon Masked Sorcerer, is because I needed a little extra draw power. Even though Toon Table, Toon Bookmark, and I think those are the only 2. Yeah. Aside from the fact that those are the only 2 like draw cards in the main, Toon Masked Sorcerer is basically a +1 just by dealing your opponent damage, which is pretty cool. A part of me wanted to run a card. Wait, where is it? Do I have it? No, I don't. I was thinking of running Toon what's it called? Toon Rollback, but Rollback doesn't really do much for the deck. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but I will admit, even with Toon Rollback, the card can still be a brick. So that's why I chose to run only a single copy of Toon Masked Sorcerer. Matter of fact, I think I can do Toon Rollback. Put it in the side. I think I can. Yeah, I think I can put it in the side. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put it in the side. I'm gonna take some out, put it in the side. At least that way. And at least that way, if I do have a way to summon Toon Masked Sorcerer and I have Rollback in hand, Masked Sorcerer can basically just deal. Can not only deal double damage, but it can also become a pot of greed as well, which is pretty nice. So again, 1 single copy of Toon Masked Sorcerer. We got two copies of Toon Mermaid, only in here because of the Bahamut Sharks and the Totally Awesomes. 3 copies of Toon Harpy Lady, because this is actually a Cyber Dragon on a 4-star body, and not only that, And not only that, if you have another Toon on board, when you summoned Toon, when you normal or special summoned Toon Harpy Lady, you can actually pop a spell or trap that your opponent controls, and it essentially becomes an MST, which is really nice. And then to round up the monsters, we got 2 copies of Ash Blossom and 2 copies of Ghost Bell. For the spells, for my 1-ofs, we got the one Call Bite, because obviously hand traps could be a pain in the fucking ass. Not two. We have a single copy of Rank Up Magic Numeron Force. So because then I'm running Tachyon Dragon and Silent Honor Arc, I could use Numeron Force to go into either Silent Honor Dark or go into Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, and the card just becomes a Dark Ruler no more before your opponent's board. So if you have a second copy of Toon Kingdom in hand, you can just pitch the first one, activate the second one, banish the top 3, and you would pretty much just be off to the races from there, which is really nice. And then to round up the 1-ofs, we got a single copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. Could you guys imagine this card being at 2 or 3? That would be nuts. No. I'm being real. Harpy's Feather Duster is a nasty card. It's a nasty card. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that Konami took it off the list, like, about a year and a half ago or something. But still, this card, nasty as fuck. Absolutely nasty. It's basically back row removal. Not much else to say about that. Next up, we got 2 copies of Toon Table of Contents. I took out 1 because I needed to make room for the Toon for the Toon Mass Sorcerer, and not only that, even if you open with a card like, say, Toon Bookmark, you can still gain access to go into access to a Toon Table of Contents, and you could just use contents, search and just search out anything. So both Toon Table and Toon Bookmark are essentially rotas for the entire deck. So I am running 2 contents, 3 bookmark, 3 copies of Toon Page Flip as a way to search out, as a way to just target any 3 tunes. Your opponent selects 1. That 1 gets summoned. The rest gets shuffled back into the deck, which is pretty nice. It's sort of like a Pot of Duality, but in a quick play spell. 2 copies of Comic Hand, because this is basically Snatch Steal on steroids. Not much else to say about that. And 3 copies of Toon Kingdom, because Toon Kingdom is just that damn good. It's Toon Kingdom. Now for the traps. We got a fuck ton of them. So first up, we have a single copy of Waking the Dragon. The reason being is because I've got the Cyframe Lord Omega in the extra deck. And the funny thing is that with Toon Kingdom, you banish the top 3 cards from the top of your deck face down. Omega does not give a damn if the card's banished is face up or face down. Either way, it gets sent back into your graveyard, and you just go off from there, which is pretty fucking insane. Then we have probably one of the weirdest cards in this deck, but it's actually pretty good. It is known as Toon Mask. This card says, if you control Toon World, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, special summon a Toon monster from your hand or deck whose level is less or equal to the level or rank of the monster, ignoring its summoning condition. So in a scenario where your opponent has a card like, say, I'll just say Nibiru the Primal Being, right? You can activate Toon Mask, equip it to quote unquote equip the card to Nibiru, special summon BLS, and you can just combo off from there, which is pretty nice. Or as a thought, you can summon Red Eyes Toon Dragon, trigger its effect, special summon Dark Magician, trigger its effect, send, let's say, Toon table of contents or whatever to your graveyard. Special summon Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. Activate the effect of BLS. Send another copy of itself from your deck to your graveyard. Special summon in, and you would basically have a rank 7 and a rank 8, all by activating Toon Mask, which is pretty insane. Pretty insane. Pretty insane. Next up we got not one but two copies of Toon Briefcase. This is basically compulsed, but for Toons, which is pretty nice. 2 copies of Toon Terror, which is basically Solemn Judgment. So there's not much to say about this card. And then to round up the main deck, we got two copies of Solemn Strike and 2 copies of Solemn Warning. For the extra deck, I'm gonna go backwards from Xyz to Synchro, because these cards are absolutely nuts. So first up, we got 2 copies of Totally Awesome, because it's totally awesome. It's basically a disruption, and it can also bounce. It can either bounce itself or a copy of Toon Mermaid back into either the extra deck or the main deck, depending on what you target. 1 copy of Time Thief Redoer for the Zeus plays, but obviously the 2 copies of Bahamut Shark for the obvious Totally Awesome. Silent Honor Arc and Silent Honor Dark, because obviously you got a house. If you're able to summon Arc and then use Numeron Force to summon Dark, and you have nothing else on board, dude, you are gonna have quite the powerhouse, because Dark can absorb any of your opponent's monsters and attach it to itself as material, in which, again, as I've talked about before, the more materials it has, the more board wipes that you'll have for Zeus, and you can just overpower your opponent with Zeus every time, which is nasty. Next up, we've got number 89, Diablosis, the Mind Hacker. This is a way to deck out your opponent in the funniest way possible. So there's not much else to say about that. We got as well number 38, Hope Harbinger, Dragon Titanic Galaxy. This is basically another version of Silent Honor Dark, but in the form of a rank 8. Then we got Galaxy Eyes Tachyon and Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon. Obviously, because Tachyon is basically a disruption, and you can just push for game, overpower your opponent. Not much else to say about that. 2 copies of Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. If you're able to stick one of these on board, the only thing that you would have to say to your opponent is good the fuck luck, because you ain't getting past this card. So if you guys have never seen this card before, it's an old school card, but the effect reads that it cannot be destroyed by card effects while it has material. And while this card has Exceed material, each time your opponent activates a card or effect, inflict 500 damage to your opponent immediately after it resolves. And once per turn, as a quick effect, you can detach a material from this card, target a Red Eyes normal monster in your grave, and special summon it. So because that Red Eyes Toon Dragon is basically an effect monster, and you have no normal monsters in graveyard, Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon essentially just becomes basically becomes a burn card, which is pretty nice. Then of course we got Zeus, and of course Side Friendly Lord Omega. The side deck, my side deck is a bit wonky. It's intended to go up against mainly the Kashtira, the Runic decks, and something else. I don't remember. I think the branded deck. So for my side deck, I've got 2 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, 2 copies of Effect Veiler, and a single copy of Pod of Avarice, just in case if you don't have ways to recycle your resources, you can just side in the Pod of Avarice, and then just activate it later on, shuffle any 5 Toons back into your deck, draw 2, and you're good to go. 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, because obviously it's back row removal, which is pretty nice. 2 copies of Shadow Toon. So Shadow Toon is kind of an odd one, but it's actually pretty cool. So the effect of Shadow Toon reads: if you control Toon World, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of that face-up monster. You can only activate Shadow Toon once per turn. So Shadow Toon again just can deal a fuck ton of damage, especially if your opponent has an 8,000 attack body on board or something like that. You're good to go. You're pretty much good to go. Then of course again 2 copies of Toon Rollback, only for the Toon Mass Sorcerer, because of the fact that if you activate Rollback and you commit to your battle phase and you attack with everything else, and then you attack your opponent directly with Toon Mass Sorcerer, not once but twice, not only does your opponent get dealt an additional 1800 damage, but you also get essentially a pot of greed, which is pretty nuts. And then to round up the side deck, we got 2 copies of Zing Zang Hu. So guys, that is gonna do it for this deck profile. Again, the deck list will be on my Instagram about an hour or 2 or so after this video gets put up. So make sure you guys follow me there and follow me on all of my other social media. My ads will be in the description below. And that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. Follow me on follow me on my social media. Everything will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.